Welcome back, fellow warriors. My name is Cosmo Jazz, and today I am joined by my no-name podcast mate, Moopsy. Say hi.
I was hoping that you would give me like a different intro because I was gonna be like, "It's your boy Baker."
No.
Yeah, what's up, everybody? It's Mr. Moopsy here, just fucking doing random shit.
And today we are going to be talking about some things that we would want or not of the new game that's going to be coming out next year that some of you guys are going to be very anticipated for, Dead or Alive 6.
Yee.
Yeah. So, before we start off, I do want to ask so that the people know, what were your thoughts on Nico, Kokoro, and Lisa?
Well, let's see, because I'm happy. I did used to use Lisa. She was like one of my extra characters when I was playing Dead or Alive 5. And so to see her back, well, first of all, I'm not surprised that she's not dead.
Mm.
Spoilers, because this is 6, so catch up, people.
Spoilers!
But it's just kind of like, for me, it's just kind of, it's that thing of like, show me a body. They're not dead if you don't show me a body.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just kind of like, when I saw her, I was like, oh yeah, I was expecting this. For Kokoro, I kind of hate the bitch because I hate the way that the computer used her.
You take that back? No. Okay.
Fight me, Kokoro mates.
I'm sure they will.
Yeah, I'm sure they'd love to fucking kick my ass. But it's just like, I'm kind of like, yeah, okay, she's there, but I still probably won't like her.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not gonna even bother using her. And then, what was the name of the new one?
Nico,
yeah. I mean, she looked fine. Like, nothing that I'm just kind of, like, super excited about. I did think, like, it's kind of cool how her teleportation doesn't go as berserk as, like, Alpha's did. And I think Phase 4's was actually, like, supposed to be, like, worse than that. Like, they went crazier between the two.
Mm-hmm.
And hers is more of, like, no, see, this is kind of controlled. This is kind of stable. So, at least from the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Not her fucking like teleporting like 5 different places and then surprise, pow.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, overall, like she looked cool. Yeah, I kind of like how she had the electricity. I kind of got like a little bit of a Blanca vibe from that. But outside of that, I was just kind of like, yeah, she's cool, but I'm not gonna use her.
Which is fair. And for anybody who wants to know what my thoughts were, there's a reaction video I will link down in the description box below so you can get all that juicy goodness.
Watch it.
Yeah. So, basically, we're going to start off with our list. Do you have anything first before I go with mine?
I would say that, like, at the moment, my top priority for what I want to see for Dead or Alive 6 is I want to see my comeback. My from SNK.
Nah. Well, hold on. We'll get there. We'll get there in time. Hold your load.
Right.
Don't blow it too all at once. Nah.
Ladies.
He's single. No. So I guess we can go off to the first thing on that list is netcode. Fix this shit.
The one from 5, from what I remember, it was like I barely played online that often.
Mm-hmm.
But that said, I do remember having like lots of unstable matches.
Mm-hmm. Now, as for someone like myself who has played a lot of online and ranked and stuff, dear God. Like, oh my God. I would say out of 10 matches, I would get 3 of them that weren't laggy. And those 3 were basically rage quitters, so.
Oh, don't you just gotta love that, don't you?
So it's one or the other. It's just like, okay, this is where we're at.
It's like, oh my God, I can do everything flawlessly. This guy's gonna rage quit.
Damn it, no! We're having such a good game! This netcode sucks! Why are you doing this?
You get the first round, rage quit, motherfucker!
The code was good!
Do you know how rare that is, you motherfucker?
It's like I don't know what they have to do. Maybe do what Capcom's doing with Namco and stuff, putting together. Get with somebody. I don't know. Just make sure it's good.
Uh,
2019. That's not acceptable.
cause like yeah, outsourcing seems like a good idea. I don't know, cause like there's a part of me that would say like outsource it to Arxis. Although seeing how I mean, cause like I guess Dragon Ball Fighters is like a joint effort, right?
Yes. And the thing
Um,
is about the one, I think the reason why you're having so many problems with that one in particular is just the sheer amount of people on that server. It's not normal to have something on that scale on a fighting game server. So I think if they go with what you're saying with Arxis, I think they'll be fine. Because I also have another thing with Blaze with Cross Tag, which honestly, in my opinion, has some of the best netcode ever. But
right, and because like going off of your suggestion, I would say that it's like if they really want the game to last to really have strong legs, uh, they it would be better for them to outsource. That said, though, I don't know how long it would take them because like Capcom still hasn't gotten that up like the new netcode from Bamco as far as I know.
mhm.
So and it's been like about like 2 years at this point. So like I guess I would like because on for Bamco I would say like what's taking so long, but for
Season
uh
4.
maybe here's hoping. But for for Tecmo Koei it would be it probably would be like a lot shorter than that, probably like a couple months or something like that, like 6-7 months or something. Because this is a netcode that's already been finished.
hmm Yep, because they've already tweaked it and everything. It's like, all right, you're good to go. Oh, you need it too? Okay, we've already worked on it, so here you go.
Right, it's kind of like here's our like we've already got the perfected version, so let's just like tweak it a bit so that it fits your game, and then just go off of there.
Exactly. Yeah, that's my number one. Netcode, netcode, netcode. Please, for the love of God. I can't do this again. I guess with my second one, which has actually been confirmed already, which was customization. And I know you've seen the video on the comments and stuff. I didn't really look at the comments, so would you like to elaborate on some of it?
Well, cause like I had seen that video you linked me. I didn't really check out like the a lot of the comments or like if I like, or what I did read. It's been like a while, but because from what you've told me that like a lot of them were basically like generally unfavorable. My kind of stance on it was that okay, so they're just building like some loadouts for character costumes and stuff, and I'm just kind of like overall I was okay with it. Uh, but I'm kind of new to the Dead or Alive franchise in comparison,
Mm.
and I have heard prior to this that like costumes in Dead or Alive actually do have something of an importance to the franchise. Because I think there was something where it's like one of the references I had seen is for Dead or Alive 4, there was like a shit ton of like unlockable costumes, like over like 300-ish or something like that.
That is
And,
correct.
and so it's just kind of like I know that there's like an importance to it, but that said, I don't know about how I don't know too much like about the nitty gritty, and I don't and like I can't and I was cool with just having like the costumes that we had in 5, and they kind of did the same thing that like they did it they I kind of hope that they do a little bit of like what they did in 5 for 6, which is just buy the costumes that you want. Maybe like and yeah, maybe you can customize them a little bit more, but I'd be just cool with like just buy the costumes you want and then like ignore the rest. Like not getting one of those packs where it's just like here's a costume for one character you want and 3 others that you for characters you never even touch.
Hmm. Although I will say that that's almost a dangerous game in itself with what DOA 5 has become now. Because I mean, look at him; it's literally in the Guinness Book of World Records for DLC. Like it's literally insane in that aspect, and I don't want a repeat of that for Dead or Alive 6.
No, yeah, and that makes sense. There is also something to be said about that because you wouldn't want, because I'm sure that it's like you're like at the double digits of like amount of money you have to spend for DOA costumes in comparison to the base game.
Mm-hmm. It's just like when it scales that much, it's like, oh my god, what are we doing? What are we doing here? Stop.
My wallet can only go so far.
But I actually have a somewhat slight solution. It's not really a solution to that, but it'll happen later on because we need to get to your favorite thing: guest characters.
Well, part that yes, I'm not gonna lie. Because
So,
well, sorry, just it sort of interrupt, but it's like because it's this. It's I don't necessarily just need flat out fucking guest characters. Because when they had like the virtual fighter characters in 5, I didn't really give a shit.
mhm.
Uh, but because like the biggest reason why I want Mai to come back isn't because just like oh my god, the hot 3D pixels.
It's exactly that. No.
Get out of my mind. It's because like one of the big things about it is that my favorite version of or my favorite copy of the Dead or Alive game was the one for the PS3 because that's where I had like a lot of my old content in it and stuff. And then when they made the shift to last round, they cut off a lot of the character. They sort of like that's when there was a big gap between the content. One of those characters being Mai. And I did end up getting her for PS4, but it's like for a version of the game that I rarely touched because I was just kind of like, I was demotivated to play because I thought to myself, if most of my content is in this version, why should I keep playing this other version,
Mm-hmm.
So that's like the biggest reason why why I wanted to come back is because I wanted to get like a fair shot for everyone to play her.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like at this point, basically everyone's got a PlayStation 4 now, or Xbox or whatever.
Yes.
As for guest characters, I think 1 or 2 would actually be pretty cool. I have a hot take because I do have an idea for a guest character. You're not gonna like him,
Probably not.
but I think if given
I
one
say,
of the
you say knock this, I'm gonna kick your ass.
Damn, get out of my head! Of course not. No, it's given the popularity of how this game ended up, I feel like him coming to this game would also help build this game's reputation and popularity too. I think they should put one of these two, either Maxi or Talam, into DOA.
Ooh. I hate
Now, hear
both
me
of
out.
those options.
The reason why is because given the game that they're in, a lot of times it's basically a sword fighter, like sword weapon fighter. These two are the two characters who are actually closest to using hand-to-hand attacks in a sword fighting game. So I feel like a lot of their moves could actually translate at least decently to a hand-to-hand combat game like Dead or Alive.
I don't see it. And that's mainly because I've played both of those characters. Especially Talam. Talam's strictly with those Tomfas.
I mean, yeah, but because like I don't think Ivy would fit because of like how the like she's like a lot of her moves are dependent on like that whip sword, so it's either like sword shit or whip shit.
Mm.
But it's kind of like you can't really come up with like a fighting style based off of that. These two, they are using moves and weapons that are closer to hand combat than like say someone like Sophidia.
Mm.
Which is why I think that it's just kind of like they could tweak the characters a bit and actually make it so they have straight hand to hand fighting movements, and maybe even come up with some of their own original stuff.
See, I wouldn't want that for Maxi, because that literally takes away the character. Like, literally, his nunchuck thing is himself. Now, I'll give you Talam because of the fact that with the Tonfa thing, you really don't have to change too much. Because it's not really a matter of like distance or something like that. It's just a matter of like doing combos and whatnot. So
right,
you don't have to
it's a lot
change
of like punching movements.
Yeah, so you don't have to change too much for Talam. But Maxi, I can't give you because if you change him, it's not Maxi. It's something else.
Okay, fair enough. But like, you kind of can see where I'm coming from, though, right?
With Talum, yes, I'll give you Talum. Maxi, I cannot give you at all.
Fair point, because I'm not even a Maxi main. I rarely touch him, so I'm like I'm going off of what I've seen so far rather than like exact movements.
Yeah, because like because with some of her moves, like her Superman punch and all that other stuff, it's just like okay, sure. Well, it's just a slight maybe range thing, which is not really gonna matter with people like Christie and stuff like that. So sure, why not? But it's the same time, so just Max is just I can't see it.
And you know what? Fair enough.
Yeah, is that your like the two you're just like yes, or is that something else?
They are two that I would say that would be pretty cool to see. I mean, I've never been a fan of the thought of like a 3D model of Goku if it doesn't look like the anime. Yeah, so it's just kind of like for a lot of those, I can't say that I would be open to it. I mean, because there's a lot of the other obvious stuff too, where it's just kind of like, oh, it'd be cool to see like someone from Tekken or Street Fighter show up in there too.
Mhm.
Limit a lot of their ranged moves. But other than that, it's just kind of like, is there someone that I would say that I have to see? Not really. Outside of
Mhm.
Mai, of course. But again, I told you why.
Mhm.
And well, I'll sort of tie it in after this one. But yeah, you go ahead.
Well, because actually, it's funny you brought up Tekken and stuff because I was thinking when I was making this list, it's just like I kind of do want the Virtua Fighter characters to come back just because they don't have a home. So it's kind of like depressing a little bit to see them out.
They need some milk.
But at the same time, I would like to see a Tekken character, preferably a female, be in there.
It's like I
Um,
wonder why.
it's definitely not because I made a waifu of like every Soul Calibur fighting style and the entire thing on my YouTube channel, where I will put down in the description box below. Definitely not that,
It cannot possibly be that.
but but no, I was thinking. Although I was thinking of one character, but then when they brought in Lisa, I was like, well, no, I can't. They can't have her. Which was I don't know if you know who Christy is.
Oh, isn't she that capoeira chick?
Yeah,
Oh, wait, I just said that, so yeah.
yeah, that's just like
I somewhat know.
yeah, that's just like I was thinking her since she's not even in Tekken 7, but it's just like well they just brought in Lisa and they kind of similar things, but it's but then I was also thinking of Asuka and Lily because
Hmm.
they're kind of like the big girls now, other than Ling, and then we already have Ling kind of covered with what's that girl name? I'll think of it later. But she's already kind of covered with that. So I was thinking those
Right.
two probably for Tekken. Um, I
I
was
mean, there is one other thing that they could do, but I also feel like it might be like, well, this is the retarded choice. Uh, what's his name? I say it's like, Rule 63 Jack X.
I mean, it wouldn't be out of the question with the whole SNK shit,
With the
but
whole SNK shit, the fact that it's just like it's a robot, so it's just like doesn't matter what the gender is.
the only thing I'll say about that is screw Jax. It's Seven. I don't want to see him never again.
And I was just throwing that out there as like a hot take. It was just some me throwing shit randomly.
And to be honest, if we're gonna do a robot from there, I would rather pick Elisa since she's already a female robot.
That's also true. Although fuck those buzzsaws of hers. Her range would be stupid.
It would be interesting to see how they would work in this game, especially with the stuns and whatnot.
Mm.
But no, yeah, I would probably want a Tekken character in. I might want a 2D character in, also from SNK. Though it would be interesting because her game is more fireball stuff, but I would love to see King to come in.
I mean, because like I'll say this, a lot of Fireball characters are not out of the question because one of the things that I do think that like Mai really did bring to the table is I do feel like her Fireball game they actually had it tweaked to like a really good level so that it's something you can be afraid of.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, though, it's just like it's not something you can just like keep spamming and just like having it overpower your enemy.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, I did only play her for a little bit, so all the people that are in your comment section saying like, oh, "This motherfucker doesn't know shit. That shit was like low tier or whatever." It's kind of like fair enough. But at the same time, it's just like if you weren't afraid of the fireballs, that means that it's good because then you never had like a point for them to like be something that like they break the character. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But no, I probably want King and Leona. That would be pretty cool.
A really good out there move if it was going to be from like a Capcom representative. I feel like a smart move would be going for a rival schools character.
That would be out there. That's for sure. Hmm. I mean, if what's its name can get Terry, I don't see why not. Fighting EX later.
Yeah.
Although, if we're doing that kind of universe, I kind of want Sakura. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, she would cover multiple bases at this point.
Actually, the more I think about it, I think that would be my big choice.
Damn it, Moopsy, you changed my mind. I can do that.
And the worst part about it is she's not even Karen.
And you could get Karen since she's in the fucking 5 now.
I know, right? But then I still want Sakura mode. What is this?
Dude, your wife was dead.
I know, right? This is bad.
And I think like she's like your prime waifu.
She's like the one, like one of the big three, and I'd rather have her, Sakura, over her. The actual fuck.
Oh my god! Wait till I tell her. She's gonna be so disappointed.
No. But I think that's pretty much it for our guest characters, though, right?
I mean, like we threw a bunch of shit out there, but like, I would say that my main would actually be either like some like one of the crazier ones that we mentioned from Capcom, or like the Soul Calibur ones, if they could make them work.
Mm-hmm. Now, here's another one that's going to be fairly short, but this is the biggest problem for me was the block button thing. Now, there were two ways to block in this game for those who didn't know: holding back and pressing I think it was X.
It was circle.
Circle, that's what it was. To a block. Now, if you did the circle one, it was instant. But if you did the back, it wasn't instant. And that was always kind of a problem for me because I'm always used to pressing back to block. I mean, it's kind of the major thing for most fighters, minus like MK and Soul Calibur. So
And I think Virtua Fighter too.
Yeah, Virtua Fighter as well. But yeah, it's just like I want that to be changed so it's instant. So you have the option at least, because the fact that like I'll be like I totally blocked that, but because it wasn't instant, I got fucked over.
I mean, because it would also be nice if they had like something in the options where because like sort of adding on to yours is, it would be nice if they also had something like maybe in like the options menu where you could choose either block button or going back.
That would be nice too. Because then you have your one fan. It's like, well, I like this way. Well, I like that way. Well, now you can choose.
No, yeah, because like Jazz, because if it's not instant, Jazz could have the block button. I honestly never had like a problem with it with Dead or Alive 5. In fact, that's kind of like because they had block buttons or because they had back blocking in like a subgenre of fighting game that I always felt like, or at least I thought, was primarily block buttons. It had a back blocking, so like that's one of the big things that actually endeared me to the franchise.
Mm-hmm.
So like if they had an option, you know, I think a lot of people would be a lot more comfortable, and it would also provide it would also provide like something some good variety and actually help the game like stand out on its own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was just my small bit on that. But speaking of more variety, let's add in some more offline and online modes this time. So, what I was thinking about with this one is Tekken 7 has a tournament mode. Very fun to do and whatnot. And I think they could actually add this to Dead or Alive 6. And not only that, but do one better and add it offline as well. And that's like one of those things. It's like, because you know, it's all the tournament organizers things whatnot. It's like, oh, whatever. This could actually help in that aspect.
Actually, yeah, that's pretty true. Because a lot of times the tournament modes in most fighting games are just pretty much like online only. Mm-hmm. I think Smash 4 has an offline tournament mode. I forget. I think it does.
The
but it's like
Smash player doesn't know. No, I'm just
for
playing.
the copy of for the console I don't have. Casual. Oh no, I've been labeled, boys. But like it would actually be something beneficial so that it could actually help like keep stuff moving along and keep things more organized. Because like Lord knows we've heard multiple stories about like tournament organizers not keeping their shit together.
Oh yeah, a whole lot of that. But no, that was a short one. I was just thinking, yeah, let's add some of that, and of course keep the obvious ones, arcade mode and all that stuff. Let's not take that out.
Right. Because like I know the big one to rag on was like for Street Fighter, but like I know there was a couple others, like a couple other games where it's just kind of like don't forget these guys. I know Overwatch launched pretty bare bones too.
Hmm. And also, I know the story mode thing is their kind of big thing, but I mean, let's be honest, story mode is trash.
Oh yeah, like when I fucking tried like 5, I was just kind of like, yeah, this story's pretty goddamn bad. It's keeping the fighting game story curse going.
You're sad. I'm sad too. Let's fight. I swear that was a scene in there somewhere.
I almost feel like I know which one you're talking about. But and also like fucking because one of the big things about like a lot of these fighting game franchises is like in the story it's always about like gathering at a big tournament, and fucking like the tournament was secondary to the to this one, to the point that I was just kind of like, shit, man, they just fucking glossed over that shit. That was like 3 episodes max.
I know, right? Lei Fang, that's her name. I finally remembered.
Lei Fang and Jan Lee, wasn't it?
Yeah.
God damn it!
And that was the one I was saying that would take place of the other girl from Tekken. But yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, I know you want to push story, but maybe have some character endings. Just maybe.
Or like kind of go the Mortal Kombat route, where it's like we have the main story ending, but then like we also have like the arcade endings. So, something to like give us a reason to care. Honestly.
Exactly, because literally there was a Snorville.
Because and like for me, it's just kind of big. One of the big things about it is just like I'm a fan from like old school Ninja Gaiden. That's one of the big draws. That was also one of the big draws for me for this franchise. When I jumped in, and fucking like I picked up some characters along the way, but in terms of the story, I'm just kind of like I don't give a shit.
There are literally moments that didn't even pan out, like fucking Mila versus Bass never even happened. Because fuck Jan Lee just beat up everybody that wasn't a ninja, because all the ninjas are doing something else.
Pretty much, yeah. It is just kind of like, and you just think to yourself like, wow, well, I thought the tournament was supposed to be like a big thing.
Exactly. Nope, just secondary. Don't worry about this. We know you like this whole tournament thing, but did you hear about this?
Underground labs and experiments and a villain that's still not gonna fucking show up.
Who's, from what I hear, is also not showing up in this game either. So
yeah,
that's
what, I've heard that too. Where it's just kind of like, wow, this guy's fucking like stickier than Bison.
Like, come on, guys, 6 games.
And like Bison's died at least a couple times, and like 5 actually looks pretty definitive in my opinion.
Exactly. Come on, really? 6 games?
Jesus.
That's what I thought. Just a little bit more modes. Like, give us a little bit more for the single player crowd, because not everybody wants to go online, which hopefully is great.
Or I would say this: if the netcode doesn't turn out to be amazing, like we want it to be, let's face it, then at least if we can have our offline stuff.
Exactly. Give us something else to hold on to. Don't let us get beaten to the ground.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is have a backup plan.
Exactly. Any other things on that for offline, online modes?
This one's kind of more universal, but is it like I would say, try to come up with like a hefty roster size.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure that there's like a bunch of characters from previous installments where I'm just kind of like, yeah, I don't know who this character is because he's like from like pre 5.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna have like no clue. So, because like when they brought in like for example the enhanced Rido, for example, and Marie Rose and all that, like a bunch of like all those other characters, I was actually kind of cool with it because it's just like okay, I'm sure that some of these have to be returning characters. I want to see more of that.
But you do know
'Cause,
that not everybody's returning, right?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, but like I'm trying to say, like bring as many as they can, because
Oh yeah,
like I'm sure that there's like a bunch of other characters that it's just like they're not all dead, but they're not missing either.
yeah.
So it's just kind of like try to bring those guys back too, along with like a mix of new characters too.
Mm-hmm. Like Nico. Oh,
Yeah.
shots fired. No, yeah, I'm with you on that. I wonder where the cutoff is because of when that came out with that not everybody's returning. It's just like okay, what's the cutoff then?
Right. Because like I don't know what Dead or Alive's thing is with this, but since they came out with like more versions of of five, they came out with like two separate versions after that.
Mm.
We do kind of have to see like how they're gonna handle a lot of the other stuff too, because like let's face it though, like because one of the big games that like up the whole repetition thing or the seasonal thing I should say is like how Street Fighter is just like oh yeah you can get like the new version just by even when you have like an older copy, it's like they up their game with that.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have to see
four
like
copies.
what's up?
Technically, it was four versions if you count core fighters.
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, cause that one's kind of like a side version, cause
Mm.
like you got a lot of this stuff for free, but you also have to pay for it.
Mm.
So it's kind of like that one's a weird one. But
Which
like,
actually, we'll go ahead.
because I was just gonna say that it's like because if they are gonna do like like a seasonal release kind of thing, they really have to step up their game a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Because after like the franchise that's known for being like okay you can just buy the next version later, they made it so it's just like you don't even have to really do that to go back to that system. A lot of people are just gonna be like okay you guys like you're gonna lose reputation super fast.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, I got you on that. But no, I was just about to say that was actually one of the points I was going to bring up too about core fighters, which was bring that shit back.
I'm sure a lot of people appreciated it like to hell.
Yeah, especially since it was the most downloaded thing ever at one point. Just bring it back. Bring it back as an option.
I would say bring that back around season 2.
Sure.
Because like the biggest reason why is because when it comes to a new fighting game, you do want a chance to be able to try out all the characters. So like so to come up with like a core fighters version at launch, they're gonna be like lock a lot of the characters behind the paywall. So you're gonna end up to pick a lot of the characters you're gonna want or to try out, you're gonna have to pay for them anyway. Might as well make it so that it's like you release the free version after everyone's had a chance to like really really look over the roster.
Well, yeah, I mean, even going further than that, you want to do that so that you can get the most amount of sales as possible. And then when it comes down later down the line, then you do the core fighters thing because it's cheaper. You don't want to do something like core fighters at launch because
Oh hell
one
no,
thing
that would be the worst idea.
yeah, the one thing that will happen is, well, why would I get the full game? I don't want the story or whatever. I'll just get the core fighters, buy the one character for $5, and that's that.
And then they would just hemorrhage money, which is like the last thing Tech McCoy needs right now.
Exactly. So yeah, definitely down the line, this kind of thing. But yeah, definitely not at launch.
Yeah,
But no. Yeah, so
we're trying to help you guys.
listen. But the next thing I wanted to bring up though was this is one thing because I, as a Mila player and as a Tina player, this bugged me to shit. I think the grabs need to be reworked in a way because there are so many times where like I'm grabbing and I'm literally whiffing on you because you've just done a punch, and that was it.
Right. Because like I think it was like they a lot of them counted as like legit grabs instead of strikes.
Yeah, and it's just like, but why? And then there's like certain grabs that like can't be broken, and it's just, huh?
I feel like an issue that we've kind of got with Soul Calibur, and an issue that we've got with or well, mostly you, because I never really played Mila. That you've got with Dead or Alive. It's almost kind of like these are the two things that should be reversed. That for the throws that are used in Soul Calibur, they should be broken easier. So like when they're doing the back throw, you should just be able to use the throw button to cancel that. And maybe like for Mila, if she's throwing in a specific direction, you can break out of it, but you have to use the exact direction she's using.
Well, I kind of have to slightly disagree with you on the Soul Calibur thing because that's kind of been a thing from the jump and multiple 3D fighters with like two different throws. So I kind of have to disagree with you on that because that's standard.
That's kind of a version of the mechanic I kind of disagree with, though. So I mean, it's just like agree to disagree.
Yeah, I would agree to disagree on that one, but I'm just gonna let you know you're on the minority there. But
Are you saying something racist, boy?
what in tarnation? But no, yeah, definitely, because like, literally the last time we played, I was literally getting you with a ground throw, which is one thing that's a difference between Dead or Alive 5 and Virtual Fighter, and even Tekken for that matter. I was literally asking you, what were you doing to get out of the grab when I got you on the ground? And literally, you said you were just mashing the buttons, right?
I said I was just pressing punch.
Yeah, and see, that shouldn't be a thing. Because it's already hard enough to get that grab out in the first place because you have to put yourself in a way where you literally get kicked in the face.
Yeah, like a lot of those should actually kind of count as strikes. Because like I remember you were kind of like you were like striking and then you were chaining into a throw, and it's just kind of like, well, this would be better because it would connect obviously more if it counted as a strike.
Mm-hmm. And then like, because another thing, which I'm glad you brought that up, because when he gets into the stun state, sometimes the grabs will just whiff. They'll just literally whiff. And it's just like, okay, because he's in stun state, I can't grab him now? What?
I mean, I will say that because Mila was like an original from 5, right?
Yes, very original.
Yeah.
But Tina was not. That's the thing. I had the same problem with Tina. And even Rachel had this problem sometimes. That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah. I'm thinking grabs need to be worked a little bit somewhere. Because, like, one thing, like, with the grab thing that I was talking about when you're on the ground, the way Tekken 7 does it, because, not Tekken 7, Tekken does it with Marduk, is that when you're on the ground, you have to guess which way is the thing going. And, like, because there were sometimes I would do a kick, and you were doing the punch, and you're still kicking me off. But if I did that same thing in Tekken, let's say Tekken Tag 2, you would get hit and get mad damage off of that. But if you guess right, you would kick me off.
Right.
And the same thing is similar in Virtual Fighter for another girl named Vanessa. It was the same concept. So the fact that it's not the same concept for Mila and it's so easy to get out doesn't make sense to me. So why would you ever do that grab when it literally, not only does it not work, but it puts you at a disadvantage?
I mean, like, hell, there's like some other fighters where I almost feel like some of their grabs almost count as strikes, even though they are still kind of qualified as grabs.
It's just like, I feel like something needs to be done to make it so that grapplers don't get so heavy-handed on the whole grappling thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Because if they're not going to have, like, crazy fireballs and shit like that, then might as well actually try to make them a lot more viable than that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was my big thing. Like, that was, for me personally, as the Tina and slight Rachel, because she was the better version of Mila, really. And Mila player, it's just like, it was very rough with those characters. Is there anything else you want to add on that one?
No, I mean, like, because Lisa's stuff was kind of, it kind of like, the setups for that were actually pretty consistent. I didn't really have a problem with that. But, I mean, I didn't really, like, memorize a lot of her stuff, so my limited move set was, like, stuff that I knew was already going to connect, so. So, I mean, like, I'm good.
Now, this next one we might disagree on in a bit.
I disagree.
He's already disagreeing. God damn it. but it was the hold system. So I think the hold system is fine to an extent. And here's the reason why. I was in a lobby one day, just chilling with a couple of people I knew, and this one guy just came in, just like, I want to play with you guys, sure, whatever. He literally won every time doing nothing but holds. And the problem with that is that when we would stun him, he could still do holds. And he can just keep spamming holds over and over and over again. And I'm just thinking to myself, okay, I get maybe one or two holds, sure. But after a while, when you're getting stunned to a certain point, I feel like that should stop. Like, you shouldn't be able to just keep spamming holds.
Makes sense. I mean, like that's fair. Shocker. I actually kind of agree.
Oh no! The world's ending!
I'm breaking the internet. Fuck, Ralph.
Damn you, Ralph!
But no, it's just kind of like, because I can see that being kind of a problem, and if someone that can be really good at analyzing can take advantage of that, and since like teching throws is actually not super difficult like as some other games, it like that would obviously be like a nuisance. So it is something that I could feel like it does deserve to be like nerfed. Maybe not like super overboard on the nerfs, but like the mechanic itself, I do think is actually pretty solid. It does need some tweaking though, but the idea is there.
Because, like, literally, we would do, just to put an example, I would do a combo with Mila that would lead into her big stun thing or whatever. And it would get maybe, with the damage, maybe a 30% or whatever, at most. He'd get the one hold, and it would equal that combo. And that's a problem to me because he's spamming it.
Because, like, I will say, though, isn't kind of, like, one of the things about Mila, one of the things that makes her, like, like one of her weaknesses is that, like, she's kind of honest?
Oh, yeah, she's very honest. Like, a lot of her stuff is either high or low. It's very rare she goes mid. So, it's literally, you guess one or the other, and it's not that hard to guess.
Right. Yeah, because, I mean, like, when it gets someone like a Mila, I feel like someone could make that counter-argument. But that said, you check like a lot of the stuff with a lot of the other characters, you can still see a lot of like fixes that are needed.
But I just use Mila just for example of like combo damage. Honestly,
right,
this was to everybody because like just to use that exact example, I get him once in a stun. Okay, he can still do the grab or whatever. I get him another time, and it's just like okay, I've got him where I want him. A third time, he guesses right, and then he gets 30% damage off of that hold. What?
Right, I get you. But I mean, like, yeah, like I think like we agree though in general that it's just like no, yeah, it's like it's not a bad system. It just needs some tweaking. It needs some like balancing.
Yeah. Everything else, I love the whole system. It's an excellent idea. I wish kind of more games almost had something similar to it. Technically, Tekken does with the parries, but that's either here or there.
Okay, because I mean, like it's not that it's it's not an original system. We've seen it in other games before, and sometimes in some games those characters like that like is a character mechanic. Like Geese is basically famous for the whole system.
Predictable.
But it's like the fact that it's a consistent main thing for Dead or Alive is one of the things that helps it kind of keep its identity.
Yep. And I think that's all I really had for the whole system. Really, just tweak that shit a little bit, just a little bit.
Yeah. I'm like, just tweak it and then fucking. It's funny because it's like the thing that I thought we were gonna agree on, we disagreed, and the thing we were gonna disagree on, we agreed.
Strange world. We're in the upside down.
Bad juju.
Oh no, not again.
Oh god.
And I think I only had one other thing if I look on this list. Oh yeah. And this is only one. This only came up to me because it happened to me in tournament, and I was just like, "What?" But I know the hazards are a big part of DOA, huge thing, love them to death. But there are random stage hazards that happen that really fuck up the gameplay, in my opinion. for example, and this is what happened in tournament. I was like neck and neck with this dude, basically 3-3, and I'm about to beat this guy. All I need is to hit him basically 2 times. And I was about to punish him when all of a sudden this thing from the wall fell off, hit me on the head, and got me stunned. And then all of a sudden he beat me because I was stunned.
What stage?
It was the China stage, I think. I can't remember the exact name of it.
Right, but like the construction site one?
Not the construction site. It was
the street.
yeah, the street, that one.
Okay.
It was just like I had him. I was about to punish him. The next thing you know, this thing hits me and I'm stunned. I'm like, huh? What is that? And then I lost. I literally lost that match, and I got kicked out. And that literally irritated me because I never knew that was possible.
Right. Yeah, because they do have some that are hidden. Like I know this one's not really like a super big tournament one, but like in the Zack Island one, there's like the whole coconut hidden in the tree thing. They could make some of the hazards more obvious. They could work on some of those.
Mm-hmm. Which, yeah, I knew about that one, and that one's kind of stupid too, but it is what it is. At least I knew about that one. The fact this fucking thing hit me out of nowhere, that was like, what?
Right, well, because that's what I'm saying. I was sort of saying, though, that it's just like, they could work on the stage hazards so that it's just kind of like when you look around the stage, even in the middle of a fight, you can notice that these things are kind of like, you know, a little bit, not out of place, but they're just more visible, so to speak. And so that it's just like, when you see them, it's just like, okay, I gotta avoid this area when I'm making my next move, because there's a stage hazard, or I could use that hazard to my advantage. You know, it's part of the planning and the process. Whereas you like, the reason I'm using like the Zack Island one, for example, is just like, yeah, it's obvious because it's a fucking island with a palm tree, but it's just like, it's just somewhere. It's just like I'm using it as an example because it's like you would know that there's a stage hazard with a coconut there because you look at the tree, but you don't actually get to really see the coconut. Whereas, so it's just kind of like in a stage like the street stage, where all this shit is like sort of blending in together. If you wouldn't see that like hazard coming because of like the way that it looks. So it's just like if they could telegraph a bit more about how the state, like the where and what the stage hazards are, you could actually plan better, and you could also like work on extending your combos properly. You could like fake out your opponent. You could do a lot of like smart stuff.
Because me and him were both confused as hell. Like, what? Huh? Like, because literally we literally were talking, because at that time, that was the first time I ever talked to Sonic Fox. And I was literally asking him about it. It's like, did you know about this? It's just like, no. It's just like, okay, when somebody like that doesn't even know about it, that's a problem.
And if it was like probably streamed, I would also like, I wouldn't be surprised if like the commentators would say like, I didn't even know that shit was there.
Exactly. It's just like, how? I lost to some fuckery.
Iron Jesus hates you.
I think that was all I had for my list, as far as things I want / don't want, quote unquote, so on and so forth. 360 no scope.
Because I mean, like I think we just basically like touched on all the stuff that's really like as part of the game, whether we wanted to or not, and like whatever little extras I wanted, I kind of mentioned. It's just like, yeah, like my biggest thing is just I just want Mai to come back. My secondary like guest character picks are the ones I mentioned earlier, and then fucking like after that it's just kind of like just regular like fucking sequel stuff, honestly.
Oh, do not patch the game to hell. Please don't. Take your time. Let things come out wherever they may, and then patch it. Because that was one thing that MK did, and it was not good.
Like MKX or what?
Yeah, MKX. Like, basically, what it would do is like, oh, there's some people who are kind of bullshit right now. Time to patch. And then they'd be dead, basically, on arrival afterwards. It's just like, let the game play out. Let's see what they can do. And then if they really are bullshit, patch it.
Because I mean, like, yeah, but it sounds of it, it's just like there are some like it's there are lots of times when you will see like a busted ass character, but there are also like exploits and weaknesses there to so that they could actually be killed by the players themselves. We don't really need like hand holding in this.
Like, for example, as well. Nerf that bitch.
Nerf him. Like, we know that he's a problem because he's been out for a while. So we know he needs a solid nerf.
Exactly. Nerf that bitch to hell. Yeah, that's one thing. Just chill. Put your hand off the button for like 5 seconds. Let's see how it plays out. I think that's all I had.
That's roughly what I've got too. Like, I don't have anything where I'm like super excited for, because like I know there's like a bunch of stuff I'm missing.
What?
Although I will say, considering that like for too long a story to tell, I'm just gonna say it would be crazy if they actually got like a freaking Legend of Zelda character in the game.
Like who?
Ooh, because the like maybe like the Goron Elder or something, because he's the only one I can really think of that's had that Santa hand.
Ganondorf.
I thought about that, but I feel like he'd be like way too broken.
Nah, he's just Falcon punching everybody. It'll be fine.
Port the version from Smash in here.
Sliding everywhere.
His counter's Hayabusa.
No, yeah. Let's say I wanted an adventure person that's not Noctis. It would never be Noctis.
It turns out it's Noctis. Motherfuckers!
Damn it!
Again? Can you not get any Soul Calibur love?
Why is he not in the one game he should be in? But I think that's it. So, Moopsy, plug your stuff.
Follow me at Mr. Moopsy on my YouTube and my Twitter, my Twitch. That's about it, really. That's all I got.
And these things are all at Mr. Moopsy.
Yes, I should mention that, but I'm also tired, so get off my back, Mom.
Clean your room. And as always, ask yourself this one question: does your soul